Ayo, welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from our homes. I am your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me is, I was going to go below. It's Vinnie Duber. Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. And Herb Lawerence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwell23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. We are being produced today by the very brave Greg Braggs Jr. He is trying to fly the plane solo for the first time today, and we're very proud of him. So everyone be nice to Greg in the comments. We didn't give him too many graphics because, it was a tough day. He's got 3 shows, and we're very proud of Greg, being a brave boy on his own. But today we're going to be talking about the White Sox heading into July 4th. We have been kind of circling this date for a while on what the White Sox will do and what it will mean for their future on if they will buy or sell at the deadline. And seeing what they did in Oakland the past 3 games kind of made it a little bit more clear for me. And we'll go a little bit into discussion with that. Then we'll open up the mailbag. We have Michael Kopech hitting the IL. We'll talk about that injury. And then the final segment will be about Oscar Colas because he is lighting it up in AAA. So we'll talk if there are reinforcements on the way from the minor leagues. But let's jump into Herb. I loved your tweet. Should they stay or should they go? And I thought we would get in trouble if I downloaded it and then clipped that and then played it. And then of course, Greg was, it's his first show. So I don't want to get us sued on Greg's first show. So
I don't think we're going to have to listening.
We're going to have to mouth sing. But yeah, I don't think Joe Strummer's listening, Herb. I think that's a good point. I don't think he's paying attention to this White Sox podcast, mainly because SkyPoint. Anyways, let's jump in. And how I want to kind of focus this, and Greg, you could flash the one graphic I gave to you. We're going to look into the core. Oh, Greg, you look like, did your daughter paint your nails? What's going on?
You didn't give me no graphic. You said no graphics.
Okay. So now
You
Lawrence
literally
said
put in Slack, no graphics.
Oh,
You did do that, okay. Sean.
I did. Hold on. This is my fault because I didn't want to overload them. I made the graphic myself, and then I totally forgot about it. My bad, Greg. Okay.
Wait, you can do this too?
Yeah.
Sean's multifaceted.
Greg, Greg, I mean this in the nicest way possible. We don't actually need you. We just like to have you here. Anyways, all right. So we need Greg in our life. All right. So here's the White Sox core. And this is from Beef Loaf on Twitter. You can follow him at Mr. Delicious13 if you want to. But I like this graphic kind of putting this into perspective. The White Sox pieces. So if we're playing, should they stay or should they go? It's basically going up and down the lineup because we talked about it yesterday. It could be a half sell-off. It could be a half buy. But if we look position by position, who will actually be on this team after the trade deadline, no matter what? And I think the people that we can circle, and feel free to disagree if you want, Andrew Vaughn, Yohan Moncada, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, Andrew Benintendi, and Dylan Cease. Those are the ones that I would say are for sure going to be on the team. And I would include Liam Hendriks because we really don't have an update on his health. And I don't think they could trade an injured player like that where, it's possible that he has, the threat of Tommy John. So I would circle first base, third base, right field, center field, DH, and then starting pitcher, 3, and the relief pitcher. Where would you guys jump in and disagree or agree here?
I think what you said is pretty much correct, but I would add a couple to that list. I don't think Yasmani Grandal is going anywhere, nor do I think that Michael Kopech is going anywhere. So really there's and I mean, personally, I don't see Tim Anderson getting traded unless he really heats up, like raises that batting average 50 points over the next 20 days kind of heat up. Because I think the trade value right now is so low. I don't think from a non-production standpoint, from an off-the-field standpoint, I don't think the White Sox want to get rid of him in any way. And I also don't think that he, you don't want to be selling low on these guys, right? I mean, like, this is a guy who even as recently as the beginning of this season, even after the injury-riddled year last year, was the face of the franchise, the leadoff hitter, the most important hitter on the team. And he has three bad months, and it's like, all right, let's see if we can get a bucket of balls for him. Like, that's not really doing a very good job, in my opinion. So I understand that the past success might make him, in some people's minds, attractive to contenders, but I don't think right now is helpful to getting rid of him is helpful to the White Sox in terms of bolstering themselves for future seasons if that is the way they decide to go.
Couldn't agree more, Vinny. With Yasmani Grandal, same kind of thing. He's just broken and barely playing catcher anymore. So, you're getting a lot of Sebi Zavala. The draw to Yasmani Grandal is both him as a hitter and him as a framer behind the plate. And if he's not doing either of those two things, and he's hitting a little bit right now, but no one's going to be coming and checking for him. And like you said with Tim, there's no real value in trading Tim Anderson right now. A team that will be getting Tim Anderson would be getting all the goodness from Tim Anderson, and the White Sox will be getting probably a lesser value coming back for them if they do trade him. So what the White Sox should do, and what I believe they'll do, is just hold on to Tim and allow him to become the player that they think he should be. And then maybe in the offseason, if you pick up the option, you can entertain trading Tim if he becomes back to the guy that everybody remembers him to be. But right now, his value is at the bottom of the floor. He cannot be traded.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to step on your toes there. I don't disagree with you guys on Yasmani. I honestly just kind of forgot about him. Just because he's kind of inconsistently there and not there on the team. I don't see anyone taking on him or Moncada's contract. So I just kind of did not include him for that reason. But Tim, I think, is the first one we can go banana. I mean, what do you expect tomorrow if Rick Hahn does speak tomorrow? Maybe he speaks on Wednesday or whenever. But when he next speaks, I assume Tim Anderson will be brought up. What do you think he will be saying? I mean, because we don't really think that this team is going to be buying. It seems like if they have any pieces to sell off, Tim Anderson would have some value. I understand that, you're saying a bucket of balls. I would push back on that. I know he's struggled, but like you said, it's been 3 bad months. Does everyone in baseball think Tim Anderson's this bad? No. So I think that you can get something. Again, no one thought Fernando Tatis would be anything, right? I mean, you can get a cast off of some organization and maybe it turns into something. I might. You
want to trade a 2-time All-Star for a 16-year-old? I mean, come on, man.
I know, but relax. What I'm saying though is like you never know what a trade piece could turn into. But what do you think Rick Hahn will say about TA? Because again, it doesn't seem like, hey, we got to bolster this roster right now. It seems like I think as Kirk or as other Sean mentions in the Discord, and it was his mailbag question, as we get closer to the deadline, do you think Rick Hahn will stick with my team is on the floor? I mean, I feel like that is the possibility that you guys are saying with, not selling Tim Anderson.
Well, the first thing you got to understand is that it's not going to happen that he is going to go through and mention individual players as being trade candidates. That's never going to happen. So if you're talking about, if he gets a question about Tim Anderson and his future, he will probably say something along the lines of, hey, it's been a bad year. It's been a rough year for Tim, but hey, we're seeing some glimpses, some positive signs over the last road trip, like Herb was talking about on yesterday's show. And that, he's a guy that's done so much. He's a guy that's accomplished so much from a production standpoint. Of course, we believe that he can become that again. He's under contract into the future. I don't see any change in the status quo in terms of him talking about individual players, with the exception of maybe someone who might be joining the team tomorrow from the minor leagues or something like that. But it doesn't seem to me that a Tim Anderson question would end in, oh yeah, we're exploring deals for him because we feel that he's not living up to the hype, so we want to get rid of him. Like that's not happening, and I don't believe that to be the opinion of the front office either. So they've made an investment in this guy, and he's really paid off for them over the course of that investment. The last 2 years have not seen that similar level of success, but it doesn't mean that he can't get back to it. And if you're talking about a situation in which they would maybe be going in between buying and selling, Tim Anderson, as Herb was just talking about, becoming, over the remainder of the course of this season, the player that he's been in the past, sets them up nice going into 2024 to have a shortstop and a leadoff hitter and that face of the franchise type guy going into next year, if that's what happens over the rest of the season. If he stays on this slump for the next 3 months, it's going to be a different conversation come October.
I'm just thinking, like, when these other 29 teams are thinking about Tim Anderson, say they all are they operating in the faith that Tim Anderson is the 2-time All-Star, the last year's starting All-Star shortstop, or are they operating in the Tim Anderson has sucked this year and we should give away people of that value to acquire him because maybe he can get back to the shortstop thing? That's what they're going at. They're going at that direction. And if that's the phone call you get as Rick Hahn, you hang up immediately. You say, if you want Tim, you come to me as All-Star Tim Anderson. Don't come to me as under 600 OPS Tim Anderson and that you're acquiring, because he's still young enough to get the job done. And also, you're disrespecting me by taking these 3 months and extrapolating and trying to rob from me. That's what I would feel if I was Rick Hahn.
Rick Hahn should be disrespected as a GM. Okay. I mean, people should be trying to rob him blind. Okay. So, I mean,
I understand
but Sean, you're not dealing with, he's not dealing with fans. Fans aren't calling him up trying to trade for him. He's doing his job, and so are the other 29.
I know, but the talk about like the respect of Tim Anderson, like the White Sox should trade Tim Anderson. Obviously, I've been kind of mulling around that point, but the White Sox should, if I'm playing this game, should sell Tim Anderson. And it doesn't matter how he's perceived by any team outside of the White Sox, whether they think he's going to be an all-star or not. You just need a team that's desperate enough. And I think there are enough teams that are desperate enough in Major League Baseball right now that would kill for a Major League shortstop. Doesn't have to be a good one. There are 12 teams right now with that position that are above 100 for weighted runs created plus. Tim Anderson, as we know, if it's only 3 bad months, he can easily be over 100 weighted runs created plus. A team that was just desperately trying to sign Carlos Correa to a $300 million contract in the San Francisco Giants currently has a weighted runs created plus of 77 at shortstop. They're going to get Tim Anderson possibly for 2 more years of control. Yeah, but maybe it's not a top 5 prospect from the Giants organization, but what the White Sox could get is depth. Hey, we get 4 guys that could possibly be something. They could all be, turds. True, but maybe 2 of them are above replacement level, and that's what the White Sox need. The team that, since trading has become a true important part of baseball since 1975, when free agency started, when you didn't really have control over players anymore, the one team that has dominated trading is the Cleveland Guardians. And this is from Baseball's Not Dead. Since 1975, net WAR acquired in trades 316.9 for the Guardians. Second on that list, the White Sox at 172.4. So the Guardians have just dominated trading because they have sold at the right time of these players. The White Sox are going to have Tim Anderson for 2 more years. I would be surprised if in 2025 they signed Tim Anderson to another contract. We were surprised with Jose Abreu, and he kind of put them in that position. The White Sox should not have Tim Anderson put them in that position. Colson Montgomery seems to be the future of shortstop for the White Sox. They need to trade Tim Anderson. They're 37-49. They're not going to get any better. They might win the AL Central in 2023.
Understood. That wasn't the question. The question is, what are they getting back? You don't trade Tim Anderson just to trade him. That's what.
Yes, you do.
You
try to get as many pieces to rebuild as possible. That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Your opinion should be you should go to the top of the roster then. If you're not going to be good anyways. If you're going to be trying to retool, you can get the most for the top guy.
You have 4 more years of control of Luis Robert Jr. So no, I'm not going to trade him. If the AL Central is this open in 2023, why is it going to be more open in less open in 2026? You have the best player in the division, and that is known. Maybe Jose Ramirez, but in 3 more years, Luis Robert Jr. is going to be the best player in the AL Central, and we all know this. But Sean, unless injuries happen.
But Sean, you just said right there, you're playing for 2026. This front office, even if they agree with you that nothing's happening this year, they're playing for 2024. And so if you are just trading guys to trade guys to get anything, how does that help you in 2024? I think the White Sox front office probably see that a healthy and productive all-star level Tim Anderson is what helps them the most in 2024 versus trading for whatever that might become whatever 3 years down the line.
I mean, I'm not saying,
and that's just a difference of opinion then maybe between you and them. But I want to make that, known to people who are watching and listening that I don't think that trading a guy or 2 guys means they're launching back into full-scale rebuild mode. I think the idea is how can they best make themselves competitive for 2024 if they have already given up on the idea of making a playoff run in 2023.
And look, I'm not trying to say like Rick Hahn should pick up the phone and be like, "Hi, yeah, oh, you want to trade for Tim Anderson? Deal, accepted." I'm not saying that, but like when it comes to the trade deadline, hopefully you have been able to leverage yourself enough where Tim Anderson, I mean, this trade deadline, I don't know if there's going to be a ton of pieces like Tim Anderson available. So they might be, even though he's had a down year, might still be in a position where they have a piece that is at least biddable against. Like, I think I threw the Giants out there as one team, but again, only 12 of the 30 teams have a above 100 weighted runs created plus at the position. We know that he's a former all-star. We know that he's extremely athletic. Like, I would hope the White Sox would try to leverage themselves into a position where they are looking for 3 pieces that are going to have 6 more years of control, just like Jake Berger and Andrew Vaughn, et cetera, currently do on their rookie deals. And of positions of, importance, like go get a center fielder that just has all these traits. He doesn't have to be proven. Like, I don't know. I mean, I understand that I don't have any actual trade packages here, but my thoughts are just,
this. So if you're the again, Giants, like, are you trading even a top 10 prospect in your system for Tim Anderson? No.
Why wouldn't you?
Why would you? Look at him. Look what he's doing this year. 3 months of proof is pretty damning. So you wait until the end of the year, and like Eloy last year, where he was at his highest value last year after the season, they should have traded him then if they were thinking about trading. Tim can rebuild his value to this team and to the rest of the league with a good second half, and then trade him in the offseason if you're entertaining that rebuild / retool on the fly. I think right now you're not going to get a lot for Tim Anderson, and at the end of the day, 2-3 years from now, when Tim Anderson is back to being Tim Anderson and you got lottery tickets, you're like, what the hell is going on? That's what comes with Yu Darvish, and it's just trash.
Like, Sean, if you're saying like, oh yeah, of course another team would give a top 10 prospect away for Tim Anderson, that means that you believe that Tim Anderson is capable of doing what he's done in the past. And why wouldn't you want that guy on the White Sox?
I'm not saying because they're not going to control him for 2 more years. Luis Robert is here until 2027. This team.
So you think 2024 is out the door? You think
I don't, because I think, again, the AL Central is so bad. Who's going to win the AL Central in 2024? The White Sox with Luis Robert Jr.
Then why don't you want Tim Anderson?
Because why is he being so short-sighted? 2023 and 2024 are the only years that Tim Anderson will be on this team. If Colson Montgomery is the first-round blue chip prospect, he will be the shortstop from 2024 until the end of Luis Robert's contract.
He will be the shortstop in 2024 because he's been hurt all year.
I said, well, after like Tim Anderson's control. So after Tim is off the team, he would be the shortstop. I understand that he's been hurt, but he's still playing right now. I think he's producing, and I think now he's up to Kannapolis or Winston-Salem. I mean, he's moved up already. So I think that, again, like, no team in the AL Central has put themselves ahead of either one of them. If you take Tim Anderson off this team, are they that much worse in the power rankings of the AL Central?
They're not. No.
But
I'm saying, like, you're not I would love to trade Tim Anderson if you're getting dollar for dollar. Yes, that'll be great.
But here, Steven's saying you don't lose TA for nothing in free agency, but you also don't sell low when his value is at the floor. Why not? Because again, his value when he has one more year is going to be less. I understand that the production isn't there, but also the control is there right now. You get 1.5 years of Tim Anderson. If you wait until the offseason, you only have a year. And yes, it's only 12.5. So even the Giants who are paying $16 million right now for Brandon Crawford would be paying less for Tim Anderson and somebody who's 6 years younger. But I just think that right now is the time to trade him because again, you might hope that it's just the bad 3 months, but what if Tim Anderson is still a 48 weighted runs created plus player, and then you're just with Tim Anderson for 2024, and then you don't have any value, and then there's no pieces to be gained at all. You're selling the mystery box right now.
Understood.
I don't want the mystery box. I don't care if it's a boat. I don't care if it's a bag of $1 million.
Okay. So then what do? But then here's the thing. Then what do you have for a 2024 in which the White Sox are going to be trying to be competitive? You might not. You might not if you're wearing the GM for a day hat. You might not be planning for a 2024 competitive season, but they are. Right now, they are going to plan to be competitive in 2024. Are they going to start a middle infield of Lenine Sosa and Zach Remillard next year in a season when they're trying to be competitive? No. And that to you is preferable to having Tim Anderson?
Absolutely not.
Why not? Because again, if you're getting 4 more players from a different organization, you're getting 3 more prospects from a different organization.
Sure.
That will be good. That might be good in 2028.
Then and Tim Anderson might be good in 2024. I don't care about this thing anymore.
Right.
I think that Tim Anderson has major league value, even though it might not be all-star value anymore. He has major league shortstop value with 1.5 years of control. That has some value no matter what. And I think they can get at least 2 to 3 prospects for them.
Let me ask you this. You brought up that he's a 48 weighted runs created plus. Do you think he is that player?
I think I think there is a possibility.
Where's the scale there?
I know some people were saying, he looked like he was getting hot in Oakland this weekend. Again, he was playing Oakland pitching, but I'm not really seeing it. He almost hit that homer in a grand slam, and then I think he got out in that next at bat. So it's just like I'm not really seeing it with Tim Anderson. Again, I don't really want to be on this ride anymore. I think it's best for the White Sox to get off this ride now.
I do not believe that. I think that Tim Anderson is playing the worst baseball he's ever played in his career.
I agree.
Partially due to injuries, partially due to other stuff. But I don't think Tim Anderson is this player. I think the Tim Anderson that we have seen, that's still 29 years old, is the player that the White Sox and if whatever team you're trading him to is going to get in 2023 and 2024. And the White Sox are going to be looking back and like, we got garbage players just so we can have warm bodies in here instead of all-star caliber
you're
Tim
being
Anderson
a pessimist.
Again.
We don't know what it could be. We don't know what Tim Anderson could be. We don't know what those prospects could be. I'm doing the math that those are 3 players to 1 player.
I'd rather roll the dice on better TA than lottery ticket from other team that got sold to us in low Tim Anderson value. So all that is trash to me. Tim Anderson becoming the guy that he used to be is much more likely to happen than the scenario you're putting out there.
I would love to see it. I'm not saying I would not like to see it. I would love to see Tim bounce back. I would love to see the White Sox be the AL Central champions in 2023 with Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, Andrew Vaughn, Yasmani Grandal, Yohan Moncada, Tim Anderson, all healthy. It'd be great. It's just not happening. I don't see it. This team has not proven anything. They just lost 2 or 3 to Oakland.
So would you trade Eloy too?
We're going to take a break and then talk about it.
Okay.
Let's take a break. If you are looking to go to the White Sox game before the All-Star break, make sure you head over to Game Time. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun you'll have. They have the Blue Jays and Cardinals coming to Guaranteed Rate Field, so don't stress and forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event, so you can get exclusive flash deals on tickets for baseball, basketball, concerts, comedies, and theater near you. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So you can snag the tickets without the stress. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. It is the best online ticket marketplace. So go help yourself out and head over to Game Time today. Use code CHGO for $20 off. There's the read. Hey, if you are looking to gamble, Herb is a big fan of Shohei Ohtani because he hit up DraftKings Sportsbook and said, this guy's going to homer. And then in the 9th inning, Shohei Ohtani bailed him out. And Herb Lawerence had a nice 4th of July coming his way. So check out DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code CHGO. You can bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code CHGO at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 1-800-327-505 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700 on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. In West Virginia, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Max bet of $50. 10 plus legs required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms.
That just kept going.
Oh, yeah. Hell? They just kept adding states. The DraftKings pick of the week.
Garbage. What's it? Come on, Samuel. Sean didn't win that first round. It was us. It was us all the way.
Oh, relax. So let's go to the DraftKings pick of the week. No one's winning. We're just chatting. We're having a little discussion here, folks. The DraftKings pick of the week, everybody loves to bet against the Cubs, and we're going to bet on Wilson Contreras' brother, William Contreras, to hit a home run. He's leading off, and at plus 400, I think it's the best bet of the day, and you get a 50% baseball boost over at DraftKings today, so you can boost that line as well. So I like William Contreras in the leadoff spot to homer today against the Cubs and Drew Smyly. So there you go. Let's get in to the question you just asked. So if I'm an advocate of TA selling, again, I the places I circled and you guys added on Grandal. So catcher, first base, third base, right field, center field, left field. And I think that Berger doesn't have a ton of value. So I just don't think he will be traded. And I don't think they should trade Cease, because I think a team with a rotation led by Cease and a lineup that, now you've pointed out how good Benny's been in the leadoff spot, that is Benny leading off, Robert 2, Aloy 3, Vaughn 4 in 2024. I think just those 5 players alone could give them the best shot to win the AL Central. And then what the White Sox need to do is trade pieces like Tim Anderson and whatever else, Lucas Giolito. I think Lance Lynn, if Liam Hendricks was healthy, I would trade him. But that one seems like it's not a possibility. But I would try to trade Giolito, Lynn, and TA to try to get as many possible lottery tickets as possible. Hey, I understand that only one of them might hit. I understand that none of them might hit. But I know that Luis Robert Jr. is the best player in the AL Central. That is what we're building around, and we need to give him the most opportunities to be successful. And we already know that the White Sox are willing to spend. They just spent $200 million and $185 million. I think the payroll will likely go down in 2024, but I still think they will put out a competitive team and probably have a payroll above $150 million. So I think with that and the prospects you'd gain from trading off even Kendall Graveman and Joe Kelly, some of the bullpen pieces, I think that you could get a lot of possible depth and interesting looks, because as Vinny always points out, these guys' stamina bars aren't always at 100%. We know that these guys could go down. So, hey, maybe you don't get a guy that's the 26th man on the roster for the 2024 White Sox, but we know that Jake Berger, who was the 27th man, came up and made a ton of key contributions to this team that's 13 games under 500. So I just think that getting guys that are trying to prove themselves on this team in the AL Central is what you need. We see it in Zach Remillard. I mean, you don't have to be good. You just have to try.
Yeah, I mean, but I think when you lay it all out big picture like that, it doesn't sound crazy at all to me. I mean, that sounds very reasonable and something that could keep them competitive for the next year or two. I think the main thing you got to look at, though, is how is a team that is going to lose those caliber of players, and considering that Lucas is going to, heading toward free agency, they could decline the option on Lynn. Maybe they lose those players anyway, even if they don't trade them, right? But how are you going to replace those players if what you just said, the payroll is going to go down? How are the White Sox going to replace those players? Because having, if you stack up the lineup the way you stacked it up, but it's 2 Zach Remillards, in the place of the guys you lost, and it's 2 Zach Remillard style pitchers not 2, 3 in the rotation. How are you getting better? How are you better positioning yourself for 2024? And now maybe there is a chance that, if you're making that many deals, you do, get a starting pitcher who is about to be major league ready, and he's a part of your plan moving forward. You do get an infielder who can come up and maybe win a second base job, kind of thing like that. But the idea of any trades that the White Sox make at this trade deadline, I believe, is going to be to improve this team's chances for 2024. And having more depth in the minor leagues is a way to do that, but it is far from the only way to do that. And so I think that any plan that would involve trading that many guys, and especially a guy that you do have control on past the end of the season, is going to have to come with a pretty significant to-do list in replacing those guys and bettering yourself, because TA is the prime example. The White Sox have him under control for next year. Are you going to be able to go out and find a shortstop or a second baseman or a shortstop and second baseman combination that replaces what you lose in TA, which is potentially an all-star caliber player? And we've talked about the work that is ahead of them, regardless of what happens in adding to the starting rotation. So there's a lot that goes with that. And I think what you said, if they make that many moves, it's a very good chance that they could put themselves in a better position for the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. But they have to do that. They have to put themselves in that better position if they're going to make those moves, especially the ones that come with a little bit more risk in losing a guy who you do have control of past the end of the season.
And trading, like you stated, Sean, these players and keeping that core, and it's a mid core, it's a very mid-ass core, is half measures. It's old school. It's back to 2016, getting these veterans in the team while trying to get these young players up to speed. Either you go all out and add this year, or you sell off. To trade only Tim Anderson, Lucas Giolito, and Lance Lynn, to me, seems just half-assing it. It's just trading them to get something for them instead of, we're going to trade them so we can be better. And winning the AL Central is not the goal. It shouldn't be the goal at all. And so you trading these players means nothing to me. You either do it or you don't. And you're not trying to beat the Guardians. You're not trying to beat the Twins or the damn Tigers or the Royals. You're trying to beat the Yankees, the Astros, the teams at the top of the AL. And so that's the mindset that has to go into it. Not like, oh, we just trade these people and we could still compete in this garbage-ass division. What does that get you? A quick-ass exit out of the first round?
Let me be more clear then. I'm saying do it. Like, do Kelly, do Graveman, do Lance Lynn, do Giolito, do TA, do
and
that.
Put those real names in there, too.
No, Herb, because the thing is, because Luis Robert's like 25. He's younger than me, I think. Like, if the oldest player that you keep is Yohan Moncada, I think that's fair. The only reason you can't get rid of Moncada is because he sucks. Like, I mean, like, that is what I'm saying, is strip the team, and you have one guy that is clearly a superstar. You don't have to get rid of the superstar, because the superstar can still help you beat the Yankees. Like, I think that the vibe between Eloy and Luis Robert, I think they truly have great chemistry. We saw the announcement for the All-Star game yesterday in the A's locker room, and Eloy's like smiling ear to ear. He's so happy for his best friend. Like, I like the vibe between those two guys. I think that those two should stay teammates. And I think that, again, like, if you want to get rid of everybody else, that's fine with me. Like, if you want,
that's a rebuild. Sean, that's a rebuild. That's a full-scale rebuild. And then you're playing for the last year of Luis Roberts' contract, and that's it.
I really don't think it would take that long. In the AL Central,
yes, it would.
At least
to do what?
To get to the play, at least to get to the
playoffs. They could win the AL Central this year, Sean. They're 5.5 games out of first place.
I know. That's why I think that they could trade all these guys and still be competitive.
What does that do?
You have Luis Robert Jr.
That's for anybody. Yes, it hangs a banner up for the White Sox. They said they went to the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years. They could say that, but what does that really do for anybody? Why is Eloy still on his team? I got the chemistry, but he should go too.
If we don't trust, fine. But if we don't trust player development to trade, Tim Anderson to get a bag of balls and 3 prospects, then why are we trusting them to strip it completely down? Like Luis Robert is something. I know, but listen, like Luis Robert is something for the next 4 years. You have something for the next 4 years in Luis Robert Jr. Why would you get rid of him? He is a center fielder.
But I'm saying,
but why would you keep only him? Exactly. Why would you keep only him? Because that's just the Angels. That's just the Angels with Mike Trout that never make the playoffs.
Well, I mean, I guess. I mean,
and when are they going to sign? I'm
fine to be that.
Join Luis Robert.
I'm fine to be the Angels in the AL Central. I think the Angels in the AL Central with all right pitching, and if you trust Ethan Katz, like you could possibly find all right pitching. I don't.
I think you're advocating for 2 separate things. I think what you really want to advocate for is a full-scale rebuild.
No,
you're done
I want
with
them
all
to
these
keep
players,
Luis Robert
and you
Jr.
want. But that's one guy. It's a baseball team. You need 26 of them.
Right. Well, again, I'm saying, like Herb's saying, you either do it or don't do it. I'm saying get rid of all the old guys. Get rid of Lance Lynn. Get rid of Kendall Graveman. Get rid of Joe Kelly. Get rid of TA. Benny signed for a long time. You really can't get rid of him. Moncada's too injured, damaged goods. You can't get rid of him. Grandal's going to be gone after this year. Vaughn, I think you should keep because he's under 25. Same with Berger. Berger's under 27. But why? Like
because Vaughn is he's a dime a dozen first baseman. He doesn't really do.
Then why would anyone want him? Why would you trade him?
Back to your Tim Anderson argument.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a break because now.
Why would anybody want this bad, broken down, air-prone shortstop?
If you could trade Sale, you can trade Robert. Of course, you could trade Robert. You would get a massive haul for Robert. The whole thing is then you're just getting Yohan Moncada and Michael Kopech. Where's that gotten you? Let's just take a break here. Let's let you know about Shady Rays. It's a beautiful sunny day. Thank God it stopped raining. We needed the rain, but I mean, it might. I feel like a real Chicagoan. My basement flooded.
Oh snap!
Right? I had to go check on all this stuff in
your basement?
Storage. Or is it apartment's basement?
Apartments, okay.
Yeah, so the landlord came over with the sump pump, So no, I didn't have to worry about my stuff, but whatever. Now it's all sunny. So take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, and told us that they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season, especially with the Shady Rays Independence Day sale being live right now. Go to shadyrays.com and get up to 50% off single pairs of sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Again, for Independence Day, the Shady Rays Independence Day sale. Go to shadyrays.com and get 50% off single pairs of sunglasses. Thank you, Shady Rays, for being the best shades out there. We're not on set right now, but Foco donated some fantastic bobbleheads to our set to make it very, very pretty. They gave us a Tim Anderson one. I think the Tim Anderson one's great, even though I want him traded. And a lovely Southpaw one. I would never get rid of Southpaw. But thank you, Foco, for the awesome pieces that you donated to our set. Go show them some love at foco.com, FOCO.com, or click the link in the description below. You can get fitted in the best sports gear around with hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. They also will hook you up for baseball season with Aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need for a game. So check out foco.com or click the link in the description below for all non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. All right. let's get into Michael Kopech because I brought him up. He is hitting the 15-day IL with right shoulder inflammation. We talked about this, and Pedro Grifol said, we're going to move him off of his start on Sunday in Oakland, and we'll see if he'll be able to pitch for us. But it seems like they're just going to avoid that and give him the break for the entire All-Star break. Is this surprising news just with all the talk around Michael Kopech and the start being delayed, Vinny?
I would say it's surprising just because it's the first we heard of any sort of physical issue. And I mean, obviously, I guess tired is a physical issue, and maybe that's what it comes down to. But it was very much being treated as this like, a strategy for rest, a strategy to get this guy some rest so he's not overworked and overtaxed. And then all of a sudden they just put him on the IL. Why wouldn't you just say, yeah, he's got kind of a nagging shoulder injury, we're going to sit him down until after the All-Star break? And then Pedro said, I believe it was yesterday in Oakland, that Kopech is not going to be out past the All-Star break. He will start in one of the first 5 games after the All-Star break. So why not just say this from the start? Because now we've got this kind of thought of, I didn't think that they were going to keep handling him this way after, last year was the break-in year. Now this was supposed to be the year that he could go and have a workload like this. And, now there's more talk about resting him and all that. Just say his shoulder was bothering him. Boom, done. That would seem easier to me. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe both things were happening at once. I suppose that's possible. But so it doesn't sound like it's anything serious. But he is on the injured list, and he will not be back until after the All-Star break. It doesn't sound like Clevenger is going to pitch during the homestand either. So they'll be down to just 3 starting pitchers for the final 6 games here.
Yeah, not ideal, especially with what Vinny just brought up with Clevenger not being available either. So the bullpen will be taxed even more these last 6 games. Luckily, today is the off day, so they won't have to go to that well too many times, but not an ideal time. And I'm glad that Michael is getting some rest. That's what it maybe seems more than he's actually 100% hurt, because Pedro doesn't seem too concerned as he'll be pitching in that first series or the first go-around after the All-Star break. So if it's rest and he can come out of this without any rehab assignments or just hit the ground running, I'm in for it. But it's not the greatest time for him to be injured, but he's not getting injured on purpose.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think any of these guys are getting injured on purpose. That would be a fun, did Joel Zumaya purposely try to injure himself playing Guitar Hero? Sammy Sosa, all these conspiracy theories. Sammy Sosa
Kyle
purposely
Farnsworth kicked a fan, like a box fan, not a person that happened to be a fanatic.
Oh. He didn't Anthony Rendon him. So yeah, looking at the White Sox rotation coming up, Tuesday Giolito versus Bassett, Wednesday Lynn versus Barrios, Thursday Cease versus Kikuchi, and then it looks like some TBDs against St. Louis, and then possibly Giolito. That's Sunday. If he did pitch Sunday, Giolito, I don't think that would be good for him possibly sneaking in on the All-Star team, Herb. I know you mentioned that, but if he pitches on Sunday, that probably doesn't seem like a possibility. But yeah, it looks like 2 more possible bullpen games, which means Jesse Schultens and Tanner Banks. Would we possibly see a call-up too? I mean, I don't know if there is anybody in AAA that's threatening or could make a sneaky start for them. AJ Alexei just got released. So
I think you're going to see the same thing you saw in Oakland. I think you'll see the combination of those 3 long guys that they have, Banks, Schultens, and Toussaint, depending on who can give them the most outs in a go. I mean, if Schultens gets a start, say, and goes into the 5th inning, then, nice job. You don't need to use another one of those long guys necessarily, and you can put the other 2 in the other day. But yeah, it really seems like that's the way that Pedro is going to go here to wrap it up, with then the hope that the rotation and the expectation, I guess, at this point, that the rotation is back to a full five guys after the All-Star break.
I forgot that Touki Toussaint was in there too. So shout out to Touki as well. And speaking of call-ups, maybe it's not a pitcher that gets the call-up if they have Touki and Jesse Schultens and Tanner Banks, but it might be a pitcher. Francis Romero of MLB.com is reporting that Oscar Colas will be recalled from AAA Charlotte prior to the White Sox game Tuesday versus the Blue Jays. He was sent down after his first 25 games. but he's got a 1253 OPS and 7 home runs in this last contest down in Charlotte. So what have we made of the hot streak from Oscar Colas of late, and do we actually expect this report to be true?
I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't be. And then because he's hitting the ball off the cover, and no one in right field is really impressing to a point where it's like, oh, stay down there. This is what I wanted at the beginning of the year, where Oscar Colas just stays in AAA and makes his way and demands to be led up to the major leagues because he's hitting so well down there in AAA. We can see that he's that guy. Now, when he does come up, the one thing that I would love for him to be is to play all the games for the majority of them. I know Gavin's going to get some at-bats, and I don't know how they're going to shake out the roster, if it's Frazier's going to be on this team or Adam Hazley. But this, if you're bringing this rookie up, play him. Play him at right field, because I think that he's your best option. And for a team that has a dearth of power from the left-handed side in overall, he can be a guy that can actually bring some power to you, because down there in AAA, he is just massacring the ball. And I know it's not one-to-one transfer when you come from AAA to the major leagues, especially with the White Sox. They massacre balls down in AAA. When they come up here, sometimes they don't do as well. So I would want him, even if he has the same struggles he had early in the year, just play him, because what are you going to get from him if by sitting on the bench for Gavin Sheets or Adam Hazley?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously looked not very good at all during April. Not many White Sox players did look good during April, but he looked like he was totally lost seeing Major League pitching for the first time. They wanted him to go down and work on some stuff. And if over the course of the last 2 months, they have seen the improvements that they wanted to see, remember, it's not always what we can see on a stat line or the box score. They're looking for, a lot different stuff. But if they have seen those improvements, then you could very well see Oscar Colas here. And I would assume it would be in the job that he won in spring training, right, as the everyday right fielder. So the problem with that now, I guess, is whenever Yoan Moncada comes back, is there going to be some sort of squeeze with Jake Berger and Eloy Jimenez? But they don't really have to worry about that in the immediate future, it looks like, because we have not gotten any sort of timeline on when Moncada might be returning. So it would make sense, given that the success that he's had down there from a production standpoint, if they've seen the things that they've wanted to see that go along with that, then yeah, give him another go. Because remember, this is the guy that they handed the job to coming out of spring training. They obviously have faith in him. And Herb, I would expect that they would want to play him on a very regular basis. The roster stuff, to me, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you lose Clint Frazier. No offense to the guy who's had some moments, but he was not part of this long plan, at the start. Oscar Colas was. He's the guy that you would want to give that time to.
Not to be offensive, but what moments have I've missed the Clint Frazier moments. Please, I would like to see the highlights of Clint Frazier.
I don't know. Didn't he walk a few times?
Walked a ton.
He threw some
did he make contact with
from
the
right field.
He did throw a guy out. He did throw a guy out
in LA. That was sick. And then he almost blew the game yesterday. The last two balls in play were a little tricky in Oakland for Clint Frazier. I saw someone mention, and I'm not trying to drag him. Someone mentioned Benintendi being bad in the outfield. That was crazy too yesterday in left field. It seemed like White Sox outfielders were just having trouble with fielding that ball in Oakland. There was that ball that Tony Kemp hit down the left field line, and it started tailing, and I think Benny thought it was going into the stands, but then it ended up dropping right in front of him in the bullpens that are still in play.
Yeah, that's the only play I can think of, right? And obviously, the dimensions at that ballpark, that is a long run. Now, It didn't look like he was necessarily, busting ass over there, but at the same time, that is a really long run to make for anybody that's playing a corner position, infield or outfield. So you can blame the Coliseum a little bit for that, I suppose. But
I was more not trying to bust toss Clint Frazier there, just saying even professionals have trouble with the Coliseum. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Colas's what he's done against lefties and righties too. Since going down to Charlotte, he has walked more as well. 18 walks to 45 strikeouts. It was only 5 walks to 20 strikeouts when he was with the majors in those 25 games. So they have seen him be a little bit more patient. A on-base percentage near 360. When it was in the majors, it was 265. And then against lefties, we saw this in spring training. He was able to make a ton of contact against lefties. He got a batting average of 308 against lefties, but an OPS of 900. And then against righties, batting 289, on base percentage of 335, and a slugging percentage of 520. So an OPS of 855. That's been the big thing, though, against lefties. 7 walks, 10 strikeouts. So he really hasn't been fooled by same-handed pitchers. I really didn't think he had any success against lefties or righties in Major League Baseball, but it doesn't seem like the platoon is really scaring him at this point. It really does seem like if it's a lefty, if it's a righty, Oscar Colas is winning that battle in AAA. And I think now it's time that talent has pushed himself up to the Major League roster. And we even saw, on opening day, there were banners of Oscar Colas on 35th and Shields. Like, hey, look at our new right fielder. So, I mean, he was a part of the plan day one. Jake Berger wasn't, but Oscar Colas was. So hopefully Colas can show a little bit more comfortability up in the majors, because again, I mean, he was an advanced prospect. This isn't just a guy that, had a one good season and is 20 years old. Like, he's 25 and has had some professional experience before.
And also for the rest of the players in the minor league system, it's a good reminder to them, like, yes, you can make the majors and be sent down. Don't take that as a negative, and take that as a, hey, I need to get better. And that's what Oscar Colas did. He got better, and they're rewarding him with a promotion up to the major leagues. So I think it's a good thing that filters all the way down to the lowest guy in the minor league system, that, hey, I work hard. I do what I need to do, what they ask me to do. I'm still not, persona non grata. I can go up to the major leagues once I work on the things that I need to and show some success.
All right, let's take another break here, and then we'll wrap up the show. We got a ComEd read here, so if you all want to take us into ComEd theater, I would appreciate that. But Oscar Colas likely will be up with the team on the 4th, so we'll see if he is starting on the 4th against the Blue Jays, and if it is Clint Frazier going down, if it's Hazley going down.
Hazley went down, I believe, over the weekend when they brought up Carlos Perez.
Okay, and then
I believe, if memory serves, yeah.
So maybe Perez goes back down, and since they're back home and not on the West Coast trip, and Colas gets called up, and also we did see Romy Gonzalez transfer to the 60-day IL too, so that also affecting the depth for the Sox. All right, ComEd.
The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future, Vinny.
You're right, Herb. ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across our beloved territory here in northern Illinois, the land of Lincoln, the Prairie State. ComEd also offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities, like those for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
Very interesting, Vinny. How does that work?
Well, typically a state picks a nickname. I'm sure that the state legislature has to go through. Oh, you mean ComEd? Of course. Well, an authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, project cost, potential incentives, and simple payback. If you, Herb, or any of our listeners own a business, do not wait. Now, here's the call to action. The CTA, the Chicago Transit Authority. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to http://www.comed.com/poweringbiz.
Was that just comed.com/poweringbiz, Vinny?
On these newfangled computers, Herb, you don't usually need all those prefixes. So yes, comed.com/poweringbiz will go ahead and get the job done. Schedule it today, if you will.
Did you guys have to actually type in like HTTPS semicolon / like
no,
when you guys when computers were first made?
I remember being taught that you had to do www,
yes.
And then finding out at some point that you didn't was like, oh, okay, well, that's time saving. But I don't know if it ever was actually necessary or not.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Thank you for the internet history lesson, guys. Do you guys miss floppy disks? Okay, all right, we don't have to go down that road.
They're great.
final ad we got to let you know about is beer. CHGO is supported by Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer since 1988. And their beer roster includes the Goose Island IPA, the Tropical Beer Hug, and the Beer Hug IPA series. You can go pick up a sampler over at your liquor store or your grocery store. They also have the sampler of the Shandies, so it's a good way to celebrate the holiday. They also have the classic 312 Wheat Ale, and what their brewers are drinking over on Clybourne Avenue and on Fulton Street is the Full Pocket Pills. So go grab an ultra fresh brewery exclusive beer at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer. Make sure you join us on July 26th for our crosstown event, our first crosstown event of the season. We're going to be doing 2 of them, one on the south side, one on the Cubs game. You can come meet us at 5:30 over at Gaelic Park, and then you get a ticket as well. Come sit with us in section 529 for a Cubs Sox game. It's going to be a good, fun time. So head over to allchgo.com, and diehards get 20% off of their tickets. So make sure you come join us and Goose Island for our Crosstown Series events. And apparently, it's Fred's saying it's / not /. So thank you, Fred. I will make sure that I'm typing that in every time I go to any URL ever, any domain, especially allchgo.com. Let's go into, I don't know. That it?
You're out of stuff?
I think so. I feel like I had one more thing. Herb's trying to slander me on the internet, so I guess I'm kind of mad, actually. I'm not trying to sell him for pennies on the dollar. The White Sox should get rid of him.
You guys could go listen to the first segment for all of your catch-up needs if you don't know what Sean's talking about. Who were your Sox guys on Immaculate Grid today?
Oh, I didn't do it.
So there's a whole Sox column, 3 guys. I got, let's see. I got 2 really good ones. My Sox A, hold on, I've got it here.
Tony La
Russa. My Sox A was 0.4% Gio Gonzalez.
Nice.
And my Sox Red, 0.1% D'Angelo Jimenez.
Ooh, I like that one.
I got Sox Red was Nick Massett.
Ooh, that's
my
a good one.
Sox Oriole. I forgot who I put down.
I went with James McCann, and it was surprisingly high. It was like 10%, so I wasn't going to brag about that.
Too recent.
Yeah.
And I forgot my Sox A's one, but all of them were pretty good. But I messed up because, again, Vinny, like you said, the fact that they have a team and then they ask a question, 200 hits for a season. For the A's, I know he didn't do it with the A's, but Ty Cobb has had 200 hits in a season. So has Ricky Henderson, I believe. But apparently didn't do it for the A's, so yeah. I was out.
Yeah, I've been getting crushed by that. Also, who would have guessed that neither Ricky Henderson nor Barry Larkin had a 200-hit season? That was surprising to me.
And who's the Baltimore Oriole person? I put Eddie
Ripken.
Murray because Ripken. Okay,
yeah.
Is there only one?
Murray. I don't know because it didn't work out for me.
Brian Roberts probably had a 200-hit season.
Yeah, Ripken was
Miguel
like 91%.
So. Oh yeah, I mean, well, when you think the Orioles, you think of Cal Ripken.
There you go. It was right.
Yeah, I did see one thing too. There was a authentic Earl Weaver jersey for sale, and he had a pocket sewed into the O for cigarettes, which I thought was just amazing. So that's why managers wear uniforms, is to smoke cigs. Anyways, that's going to do it for it. And the reason why Ricky Henderson never got 200 hits was because he walked so damn much. He was so damn short they couldn't throw him a strike.
My White Sox Oriole was Chris Singleton, and my White Sox A was Chad Bradford.
Nice.
Wow. Very good. Those all had to be under 1%.
0.3 for Singleton, 0.4 for Chad Bradford, and 0.1 for Nick Massett.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And then Soximus is saying Ryan Sweeney for Sox and A's. So
0.01. Nicely done.
Way to go, you sickos. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will be joining you on Wednesday for Sox and Blue Jays. We got KPW joining us on the pregame, and then on the postgame, we'll be chatting with Vinny and likely talking about what Rick Hahn had to say about his ball club and if you should expect them to be buyers or sellers come the MLB trade deadline. Maybe we won't even get an answer. Maybe it'll just be we're waiting and see, because that could possibly be the answer. This could all be for naught, folks.
There's still only 5.5 games out of first place.
Oh my God! We're talking to Cody today, and Cody's like all down in the dumps, and I was like, man, weren't you guys just like 7-1? And then I checked, and they're 6 games back, and I was like, oh, I get it. They're worse than the White Sox. So I get why Cody's
with
in the dumps.
Actual good teams in that division. I'm putting those in quotes. Good teams.
Yeah. I mean, Julio Teheran is lighting it up for the Brewers. So that's why I'm just saying you never know, folks. I think there's a lot of options that the White Sox could pick through. Anyways, that's going to do it for bring Chris Archer back. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. Follow Herb Lawerence and him slandering me on the internet at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. Follow Vinnie Duber on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Make sure you follow Vinnie too, just in case there is any White Sox news. He is our guy. He's always around his phone. So he'll keep you up to date because he's the best in the biz. But that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. Greg Braggs didn't fail. Great job, Greggs. We'll talk to everybody on Wednesday. See you then.